Hi there, I'm Ellen from the Charles and Ellen Academy in Modern Hand Embroidery, and I'm beyond excited to see you here today. It's been a little while since I was filming these workshops. We've moved country, moved house, obviously, studio. The lights broke down in the middle of the move, so we had to wait for new ones. But here we are, and I am so ready to get started with these again. If you're new here, a warm welcome. If you've been with us for a while, well, warm welcome to you too. And if you have any requests for future workshops that you'd like me to do, both here on YouTube as well as in the Charles and Ellen Academy, just put them in the comments below. All right. What you see in front of you here, or in front of me, we're gonna dive right in. Today we will be talking about how to do greenery on architectural scenes. It's actually targeting a common question that I've received whenever we are indicating two different colors or two different nuances of green in the same section, how to know where to place which. Well, first you can always use the final version as a reference in case you're unsure of where to place your different nuances of green. But I wanted to just dive a little bit deeper into the actual concept behind it, or the actual reason for why we place the darker in the bottom and then the lighter nuance on top. It really has to do with the idea of lighting. Where does the light come from? If we imagine that the light, the sun, comes from a top, it will be a little bit lighter at the top and go gradually darker. Now in this particular design, I only used two different nuances. It's January. I didn't want to do an overload of different colors for the pattern of this month. I felt that January is overwhelming enough. Yes, December is overwhelming for other reasons, but January sometimes, you're entering this new year with all this anticipation, and yeah, it can feel a bit overwhelming. So I just felt this month we needed a soothing pattern that is still gorgeous, but with not too many different colors. We got the black for the contours and two different nuances of green. Now the dark nuance is at the bottom and the light at the top. I actually brought two crayons. I borrowed my daughter's crayons and some piece of paper here just to quickly give you the idea of what to stitch first, before I show you just the stitch design, stitch technique. Many times in our patterns we refer to leaf stitch, which is basically just overlapping single stitches. It's overlapping straight stitches. Wow, I really need to get into the whole workshop game again. So how would I do it? I'll show you with the crayons first and find a good lighting. So let's imagine there is the tree here. You would do a straight stitch and a straight stitch, connecting the two at the top of the leaf. Because let's imagine we have a leaf right here. Here's the leaf. Okay, how can we simplify this into stitching? Well, we can basically simplify it into one stitch this way, one stitch this way, right? And then keep overlapping with stitches in that way. This is the same essentially as having full-on leaves, which is what you would maybe do in a drawing. So the whole concept, the whole principle is really how to simplify from a drawing over to using thread and fabric. So that means I have here been stitching the lighter part of a bush or a tree, just like you can see I did here. I do the lighter part first. I then come in with a darker and start overlapping from below. Why do I do the light first and add the dark later? When it comes to greenery, it's especially due to adding this 3D effect of volume, right? So whatever you do first, whatever you stitch first is going to be the furthest away, and when you add on top, it'll layer a little bit and kind of create a little bit more of a volume in the lower part. And if you think about, this was an individual leaf, but if you think about an actual bush, they tend to be the thickest here at the bottom, right? And go a little bit thinner as you go further out the branch. It's just natural. There's more condensed leaf. How would we stitch this? Essentially, having here the lighter ones, I am going to, I think, zoom in a little bit. Voila. The thread I found here is actually a little bit in between the two, but that is okay. I have done a dark section here of overlapping straight stitches and a light section here. And I can easily go in and keep adding straight stitches. Here I'm going a little bit outside of the pattern by adding this third nuance. But it's really a matter of just showing you the principle of adding a little bit more volume in the bottom, as well as how to place or where to place the different nuances. So here now I'm just adding in these overlapping straight stitches that all meet each other at the top, at the edge of the leaf. And I kind of fill in the blanks, so to say, fill in the empty spaces that were visible here at the bottom, right? How would that look like? Let's just show how that would look like a little bit on the side here. One stitch, and I do the second stitch going into it, and now I can start overlapping. Basically, that's the representation of one leaf. Do a second one. And I'm slightly shifting direction as well. Think of the collection of stitches, basically where they go into the same hole, as being the direction of the stitch. And you want those to slightly vary to emphasize the fact that this is a living thing, right? A bush, a tree, leaves, they are living and not static in just one direction. It's another reason why it's important, to me at least, to vary nuances, because it adds this natural variation to it. All right, you start seeing, here you can see how I added a little bit of volume. Now I haven't added too much, as I didn't want to confuse too much here that I found a third nuance. Very sorry about that. I should have taken the same one. I actually don't know where I put it. I found these two were lying around, and they are clearly not exactly the same. So maybe my daughter found it and put it in a corner somewhere. I would not be surprised. But here you can also see the stitches. So I hope that this just very, very quick demonstration of how to place, whenever you see indicated on our patterns that there are two green nuances for the same area, just to quickly try to kind of connect that you do the darker one lower and the lighter one upper. If you have multiple nuances at home, because we always encourage you to use whatever you have at home. If you don't have the exact same nuance as the one I'm indicating, do not worry. If you have multiple different green nuances, you can take authority of that and just decide, okay, which one is the lighter nuance, which one is the darker. Do you want to have more than one? Maybe you want to have multiple and basically stitch them in more of a range, right? A spectrum of the darker going over to the lighter. And also what to stitch first, the light one first, and then you add on the layers as you go down. I always start at the top of any bush or leaf, right? In order to be able to have this 3D, added little 3D detail volume that it gets thicker and thicker as you go down. All right, I hope that this was helpful, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next one. This pattern is available in the Charles & Allen Academy only through the rest of January. After that, you will find it in charlesandallen.com with the unique patterns. Not sure if we will upload it right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but it will get there eventually. So have a good one.